Hello, this is Lazarus at Telecom Tech, where telecom and networking technologies are simply explained. Today, we'll be simply explaining Classless Inter-Domain Routing, or CIDR. I do my best to explain things simply and clearly. If you like the way I do that, and if you find this and my other videos informative, please take a moment now to subscribe so you can get updates to newly published content. If you like this video, please take the time to click that thumbs up button. In previous videos, we talked about the classful way in which IPv4 was originally designed, as well as the later classless IPv4 addressing that was introduced, along with what is known as variable length subnet masking, or VLSM. All of these concepts have to do with how we can create an IPv4 addressing scheme using IP subnetting in the most efficient way possible. That is, using subnets of various lengths, such that they accommodate the real number of hosts that will exist in that subnet, rather than being restricted to the original classful boundaries that may result in massive address wastage. You can find links to all of these videos in the description below, including several subnetting in action videos that show how subnetting is actually practically achieved. Now, classless interdomain routing, often referred to as CIDR, is simply the capability a router has to be able to route traffic to particular network destinations using classless addressing. CIDR focuses on the routing functionality. In other words, CIDR allows a router to route traffic to destinations that don't use the classful subnet boundaries. Now, CIDR also introduced IP address aggregation, allowing for a single routing table entry to encompass multiple network destinations, thus making routing tables more compact. CIDR also introduced the slash notation for indicating subnet masks, such as /24 or /28. Now, the best way to see how CIDR fits into this whole concept is to look at the routing table of a particular router. We'll be using the routing table the way it appears in a Cisco iOS device when you issue the show IP route command. Now, here's an example of a routing table found within a Cisco iOS router. First of all, we see that even though CIDR is being used, we still have a grouping of all the available subnets in a somewhat classful fashion. For example, we see that there are several subnets under the 172.16.0.0/16 network, and we are told that they are variably subnetted, which indicates VLSM. We can see one has a /24 network. Another is a /32 network, which is actually the IP address of the interface on the router. And there's another, which is a /24 network, and another /23 network. Now, another thing we see here is an aggregated route. Although we don't see it explicitly in this routing table, we have subnets 172.16.2.0/24 and 172.16.3.0/24. Now, this here is an OSPF route, and it is an aggregated route. This is because 172.16.2.0/23 encompasses both of these networks. So only a single entry needs to be assigned for both of these networks, assuming that both can be reached with this particular next hop. Now, CIDR makes this aggregation possible, which results in much more efficiently created routing tables. When you have hundreds or even thousands of routes, aggregation can drastically reduce the routing table size and thus increase efficiency. Now, one last thing to mention here is that some of these routes are learned via routing protocols, such as OSPF. These routing protocols have integrated CIDR functionality, and they're able to share the subnet mask along with the network destinations. And that's why you see here that these networks have a /23 and a /24 subnet mask, and they're not set to the classful prefix of /16. Now keep in mind that in all modern networks, CIDR along with classless IPv4 addressing and VLSM must always be used. CIDR is not something you need to enable, it's typically the default operational standard for virtually all modern devices. I hope you found this video useful, and if you have, please click that thumbs up button. If you'd like me to address other related topics, feel free to let me know in the comments below. And please subscribe to get updates to newly published videos. I'm Lazarus at Telecom Tech. I hope this has been helpful for you, and I'd like to thank you for watching.